What up, Space Fam? Golden here from Anime Opera, back at it again to discuss the latest and craziest developments in the One Piece story. In this one, we see a lot of stuff that we were waiting for, including Kuma's backstory, the fate of Vivi, which is huge, Luffy waging war on the world government, and much more, so make sure to stay tuned for that. If you do enjoy these weekly One Piece reviews and want to keep them coming, chill a Pirate King with it and smash that like button. It's always better to be a smashing Pirate King than a passing Orochi. And join the Nakama if you haven't by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Over 50% of you aren't subscribed and you might not even know it, so just take a second to check, and that way you ensure you'll get notified about the latest One Piece chapters and updates. And now, without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. This chapter is called Mark III, and the implications of that title are big, as we'll see soon. Some world government men are not happy about a government weapon getting in their way on Egghead. This appears to be the latest version of the government pacifistas that take the form of Kuma. If you pay attention to the pacifistas' clothing, there is a Roman numeral 3 on it, so you may have already guessed that Mark III in the title is referring to these new and improved pacifistas. The pacifista has a bubble shield that's easy to manipulate but strong and can easily block even hardcore firepower. It also reflects the explosion back at the opponent, which is amazing. The bubble shield is described as the ultimate defense, and isn't that just classic Oda for the ultimate defense to be a bubble shield? Then they mention outright that this must be a Mark III pacifista, far more advanced than the prototypes used in the Summit War. And in the Summit War, the pacifistas were overshadowed by most of the legendary figures there, but these new ones, plus the seraphims, would definitely have made much more of a splash back then, not to mention this pacifista is huge, towering over the others like a giant. It speaks telling them to proceed to Factory B, and the guys agree, saying if they don't do what it says, they'll die. Keep in mind, this is one pacifista totally outclassing them like this. That will be important to remember for later on. As they're wondering who gave the order to the pacifista, we jump to Sentomaru, who is not dead yet. He comments that the Frontier Dome is sealed and that he can get a hold of Grandpa Punk. He remembers Luffy promising to get Vegapunk off the island. We find out that the Navy is trying to reach Sentomaru, still not realizing that he's become a rebel like Vegapunk. Since he's already a rebel, he decides he can do whatever he wants. And all 50, yes, 50 Mark III units are prepared for deployment. Now this would be epic if we didn't find out last chapter that one of the elders, one of the 5 elders specifically, is coming and will in all likelihood make the pacifistas change sides using his greater authority. I'm sure like me, none of these characters expected an elder to show up, so otherwise this would have looked very good for our side. For now though, Sentomaru gives the order to them to help Vegapunk get on Luffy's ship, and for them to set sail safely. He assumes the Navy has something up their sleeves and tells them to stand guard at the coast. The Egghead inhabitants are wowed by the pacifistas and comment on how something is going to go down on this island soon. I mean, it already has been going down, but I'm sure that'll look like child's play compared to what's going to go down soon in a big way. Sentomaru's final words are, no matter what happens, the pacifistas must ensure their creator escapes. Definitely glad Sentomaru is on our side, and I always respect seeing such resolve to do the right thing, even at such great personal cost. We then jump to where the others are. Luffy could not find Vegapunk, as he explains. He's visibly sweating and panting, saying he ran all over the place looking. He even broke his hover boots from running so much. Luffy hilariously says, "Don't snitch, I can't pay them back." Such a Luffy thing to say, as if the fact that he's saving Vegapunk's life doesn't more than make up for some broken boots. Dat Punk does locate Bonnie from the looks of it. He says everything in the lab is transmitted on the monitors, and Luffy is obviously upset, saying he could have told him sooner. That was a lot of running around that he did for nothing. We also get outfit changes for Zoro, Brook, and Stussy. Zoro looks especially cool, and Stussy's outfit again makes us see why Whitebeard might have very well fathered Weevil with a younger Stussy like this one. As usual though, there are complications. Things seem calm right now, but it's definitely the calm before the storm. The Stella aka main Vegapunk body disappeared, and they've lost control of the Frontier Dome, which is random, and I hope that has a good explanation. They're basically trapped in the Labo Stratum, we're told, which is horrible because it gives the Marines time for their reinforcements to get here, including at least one admiral and at least one elder. Again, I'm wondering how strong the elders actually are. Daft Punk tells us if anyone tried to leave, the lasers would fry them. So Oda is pretty much setting it up here that they have to wait for this conflict to happen because they literally can't get out before that. Which I'm kind of fine with because I do think this will be an epic conflict. And it would be anticlimactic if they just missed Admiral Kizaru and the Elder. Daft Punk wants the others to find Stella while he figures out a way to repair the dome. The dome malfunctioning again seems super inconvenient and super bad timing, so there better be a satisfying explanation for it. Then Daft Punk explains that he can't find Stella through the monitors because of the Seraphim rampage that happened. It incapacitated some of the baby monitor snails, or they were knocked out of position. By the way, before moving on, I just want to say that there was a manga panel of everyone together and it showed Nami seemingly stomping on a captured and passed out Lucci while Robin tried to calm her down. Pretty funny detail right there. And of course, the whole time Sanji is gushing hearts and eyes and everything over one female he sees or another. But back to the snails, and Daft Punk assumes that Stella is in a blind spot. Some other satellites are searching, trying to find him. When some characters decide to help and look, Sanji is quick to beg Stussy to take him with her. Sanji pulling a Whitebeard over here. We get a hilarious moment when Zoro mentions he'll try to help too. Sanji points out that if he goes to find someone, who's going to find him when he's done? It's hilarious but accurate, and Oda did a great job with illustrating Sanji's facial expression here. They all see the point and ask Zoro to stay. I absolutely love that moment. The funniest of the chapter. So you have Luffy and Zoro chilling on the couch while we see a knocked out Lucci and Kaku in front of them. The constant focus on them definitely makes it seem like they may come into play again soon. Luffy is still tired from running all out, so hopefully that won't come back to hurt him if he needs to fight again soon. We then jump to Bonnie, who, as we guessed, has entered a sort of memory world. We see a Kid Kuma beat up and crying. Some people catch up to him as the kid begs to be saved and begs not to be taken back. However, the people taking him back say he has to because they'll get killed if he escapes. In this memory world, no matter how much Bonnie tries to get closer to her father, she can't. She can just watch from a distance. Kid Kuma begs to be killed instead of going back. He says if he goes back, he'll die anyway. It's hard to watch. He's crying and Bonnie is crying as well. The shadowy figures raise what looks like bats, or it may even be just sticks, and hit Kuma as Bonnie cries for them to stop. It's so hard to watch for Bonnie that she is thrown back from the memory bubble. She's shaking, and we briefly see current day Kuma climbing again. As I said, why he's climbing will definitely be revealed in these memories, and I think soon. Bonnie comments that she couldn't take it all in, but she's determined, thinking if she stays ignorant, she'll never be able to understand. Then a satellite sees an explosion, but of course, it's left as a cliffhanger. Either way, seems things are going down in a big way next chapter. And this chapter is far from over yet. In fact, some of the biggest news is yet to come. We jump to Big News Morgan. So yeah, pun kind of intended. He got the news that the world government intends to assassinate the beloved Vegapunk, the world's greatest genius. He says it's like Ohara again, but even worse because the doctor is far too popular for that to fly. He's loved as the man that develops energy to light up towns the world over. Another detail that sounds very much like what scientist Nikola Tesla strived to do. I really like the idea of the heroic scientist here. Morgans also knows Luffy is at the scene, so he gets the idea for a headline: Navy skirmish at Egghead, Emperor Straw Hat Luffy takes Vegapunk hostage. Although it's clearly incorrect, and he even knows it's incorrect, I am excited for Luffy's notoriety to build in the world and for his bounty to reach insane numbers. And this should definitely help with that. Morgans does this because he knows the government will appreciate that more than the truth, and according to him, he wants to collect a contribution from them. As Vegapunk made clear earlier, the government is where the money is, and to use their money, you gotta keep them happy. We then get the big reveal that Vivi, and by the way, Wapol too, are with Morgans. She says Luffy would never do that. Wapol is just freaked out though, worried that if the government had a wiretap snail here, they might find out where the two are and erase them. It's explained that Morgans took them in. He's definitely an interesting character, one that can't just be written off as simply good or bad, but operates in the gray area very well. He calls Vivi out for bawling her eyes out yesterday and tells her not to interfere with his job. He says his words can shake the world, and besides, news isn't about facts or fiction, but about entertainment. And man, that definitely applies to real world media too, and of course, as we all know, to YouTube as well. In another translation, Morgan's headline is even more hype. He says Luffy has taken Vegapunk hostage and waged war against the Marines. This Luffy waging war against the world government is definitely more hype than just a Navy skirmish at Egghead, so we'll see what the official Viz translation says soon, how they choose to frame it. Either way, Luffy's reputation as a pirate is going to explode again, and I can't wait. So much to look forward to in the upcoming chapters, and for me, seeing our crew fight Admiral Kizaru is definitely one thing that I'm itching to see, and it's definitely going to be a highlight for me. And if you want to fully understand my hype and see what the admirals are fully capable of and their powers broken down in detail, you don't want to miss my all 6 admirals and their powers explained video, link in the description and on screen right now.